You are now tuned in to DameSmiff.
Welcome to Musician Talks with DameSmiff. This is episode 43. I want to talk to you guys today about attraction as a musician. But before I get started, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and share this video with anybody who's interested in the music industry, improving their soft skills as a musician and creative, or just want to learn about living as a musician in today's society. So today's topic is attraction. Now, attraction has many different approaches depending on what you like to do. We talked last episode about direction and non-direction. That can be a very big catalyst in terms of what attracts people to your music and your artwork. But I want to look at why attraction is important for an artist, especially in the music business. And I also want to talk about a few different approaches you can take towards attraction. Now, it's important to an artist because obviously it'll get you prospects for sales and things like that, getting more people listening to your music, and it increases the odds of them purchasing or downloading or streaming your music. But outside of selling music, why should an artist think about having an attraction to their music and their creation? Now, the reason behind that is because it helps the artist understand what's palatable for most consumers. And it helps an artist understand how to connect with people through music. Now, today, you don't necessarily need to have a connection with an audience in order to make music, which is fine. But at the end of the day, if you're in the music business, it's to sell records. But if you're in the creation of music alone, it's to get people to listen. So, making music for yourself is cool and all, but that's not why most musicians do what they do. Now, the attraction to your music is extremely important in the business of music, as I said, because of the sales for it. But you have to understand why people are attracted to your music and whether or not you're in control of it or whether or not it's positive. Now, there's lots of different variables that affect attraction today in today's music, because if you take a good look at a lot of the bigger artists, the reason they have a lot of attraction is not typically because of their music. It's usually because of popularity for whatever they've done, whatever they said, places they've been, and things like that. Very rarely do you see an artist garner attraction for their music alone or music as the forefront of what they're doing. There's a lot of coupling of skills and talents that happen with many big name musicians. So you'll see like a product being sold, a lifestyle being sold, maybe a brand or a culture trying to be pushed, or maybe an aesthetic, as we talked about in another episode. So there's a lot of things that go into that. Now, for the independent artist, how do you garner attraction for an audience, and how do you help develop and nurture that? Well, one of the few ways I've seen it done is through live performance. There's a lot of interaction with the music. So when you're creating your music, sometimes we get into this mode of, I want to create a mood or a vibe or a certain energy on a song, but that doesn't necessarily translate into a live performance to where there's a human element there, where all five senses need to be interacted with. Now, that can be super helpful if you're into maybe like songwriting and background music and things like that. But if you're performing your music, or you're banking on performing it at some point in the future, making your music a little more interactive, or I wouldn't say watered down, but easy to follow in terms of consumption, makes your music a little more attractive than the song that's very complex, very dense, and very bogged down in like music theory and things like that. The average listener is going to be turned away from that, which in music business is not what you want. You want the most people listening possible to increase the odds of them actually going through with a purchase or a download. Now, what does that look like? Well, in hip hop, we have what everybody who's not in hip hop calls call and response, but in hip hop, it's called emceeing. So when you're controlling the stage or controlling the ceremony and things like that, the music plays a big part of it. So there's a lot of chants, one-liners, punchlines, and maybe finishers. There's maybe very heavy bars or things like that that you might inject into the song to help people kind of relate or be able to jump into the song as well. And then if you take it out of hip hop, in other genres, it's usually dance or maybe steps and things like that, movements that help the crowd kind of become interactive. You ever heard "put your hands in the air and wave like you just don't care"? That's not necessarily a lyric, but it's more of a call to action for the audience. Now, where this can go wrong is if you don't have music that's interactive, trying to force the interaction we can feel that as an audience. So especially today when you see a lot of artists on stage, generally the audience is going to have their phone out recording. Everybody's not, dancing with the person next to them or things like that. Everybody's trying to record. So now the big thing in today's attraction in music is making a visual aesthetic, which goes back to, like I said, dancing and things like that. So the interaction it's not ended, it's just in a different form. So where you have everybody turning their phone on to record, you might ask them to maybe turn on the flashlight and make it seem like a candlelight visual of flashlight cell phones. Or you can have them sing along with you for the sake of their own, video that they're making for whatever social media platform. But the interaction doesn't necessarily stop in terms of what music you're making. But if it's forced, that's when people will be turned off generally. Now, if you have an audience full of people who have their cell phones out and you tell them to clap their hands, it's not really going to make sense because one hand is holding a phone and XYZ. So it's important to understand this as an artist. Now, I also wanted to touch on whether or not artists have control of this kind of thing. Now, I've seen personally artists make music for the stage and then other artists just make music and they kind of just perform it on the stage. And I would say the biggest difference between the two is that the stage, the songs that are made specifically for the stage are typically made alongside a group of other songs that are for the stage. It's not a matter of I have an album and this is my stage performance song. It's usually the entire album is dedicated to performance and getting an actual live interaction. And the music that is most attractive in that collection of songs is usually going to be very successful on the stage. Now, when I've seen other artists do it the other way, where they'll have an album worth of music and maybe the one or two stage performance songs, the two stage performance songs are the ones that are the crowd hit typically. The other songs are more of a matter of whether or not they enjoy the artist or that particular song as usual. Now, I want to pose a question. When you make your music as a musician, comment below your answer. If you make music as a musician, if you're creating your music, is attraction important or is your overall, let's say, message or direction important? Which one is more important to you as an individual, just in your opinion? Do you think that it's more important to have people enjoy and gravitate towards your music, or that people understand the message you're putting in your music more? So that's all I have for you today. This was Musician Talks, episode 43, and we talked about attraction as a musician. And I will be here every single day between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for Wednesdays. I'll be here every single day except for Wednesdays. So like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Share this with anybody who's interested in the music industry, music business, want to improve their soft skills, or just join the conversation about what it's like to be a musician today. And I'm out.